Welcome to this edition of Berkshire Now News Magazine, where we explore news and views from around the Berkshires. Baseball has a vast history in Berkshire County. For example, did you know that the very first mention in print of the word baseball was in a Pittsfield bylaw issued in 1791? Or that the first college game of baseball ever played in the United States was in Pittsfield in 1859? These and many other fascinating facts and artifacts can be seen at an exhibit called The History of Baseball in Berkshire County, currently on display for a limited time in the Stationery Factory in Dalton. Larry Moore takes us on a tour of the display.
Hi, my name's Larry Moore, and I'm the director of baseball in the Berkshires, and I'm going to take you through our exhibit, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, that is here at the Stationery Factory in Dalton. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5 and by appointment. So as you walk in to our exhibit, on the right you're going to find a poster with a lot of the history and also a famous article done by Derek Gentile called From County Sandlots that talk about the players from Berkshire County. As you come down the hallway, on your left-hand side, you're going to see a display of Berkshire County Adult Baseball League. The Baseball League was established in 2011 by Lou Orazio. On the right-hand side, you're going to see more history, giving you a little capsule of recreational, major leagues, and minor league baseball in Berkshire County. On the left-hand side, again, you're going to see a display on today's game with some of the events that happen in baseball in Berkshire County. As you walk into our first room and we start the history, what better place to start than the famous 1791 broken window bylaw? That bylaw was found in 2004 by John Thorne, the great historian for Major League Baseball. The bylaw states that baseball cannot be played within 200 yards of the newly built town hall. Baseball was mentioned along with stool ball and quite a few of the other early ball games. Now, everybody said, well, this must be the birthplace of baseball. That place out in New York State, Cooperstown, that can't be the birthplace. Well, just about that time, they found out that that story about Abner Doubleday was a myth. It wasn't true. That Abner Doubleday didn't invent baseball. A matter of fact, nobody invented the game of baseball. Baseball has evolved over the years, over the centuries, and we have seen baseball and the hieroglyphics in the Egyptian pyramids with a man with a stick or a person with a stick and a sphere. So it has evolved. It hasn't been found one place. But that doesn't take away from the wonderful finding of the broken window bylaw, because that means the first mention of baseball here in the United States was in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. A great part of history. Another great part of history is the first college game was played here in 1859 between Amherst and Williams. It was a game of strength, muscle, and mind, as they not only played baseball, but they played chess also. First college game was won by Amherst, but loved by everybody. If you go by Dottie's Tea Room on North Street, you will find a plaque that's just about the place that game was played. There are videos in both places that talk more about the 1791 bylaw and the first college game. It's just about this time that baseball was really popular in Berkshire County. A research project found that between the years of 1850 and 1871, there were over 120 teams in Berkshire County. They're listed right there on the wall. Also, we have a collection of scorecards from the 1870s. It's just wonderful to see that Pittsfield had the Pittsfields. I don't know too much about the origin of that name, Pittsfields, but they played the Springfields. That seems to be how they named their teams, and a team from Stottville and a team from Troy called the Haymakers. Also, in our display, when we were at Arrowhead at our very beginnings, we see a baseball bat. And that bat was awarded to a member of the Pierce family for his outstanding performance in the Pittsfield Elms, defeating the team from Warnoco. That bat was in our display, as I said, at Arrowhead, and now has been donated by the Pierce family to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. As we move into this room, you're going to see lots of artifacts that have been loaned or given to us by the people of Berkshire County. When we first started at Arrowhead, we had approximately 280 artifacts there. Now, as we sit here in the Stationery Factory, we have well over 1,200 artifacts. So next is Wacona Park, the great Wacona Park, built in 1892 by the Burbank family. It was given to the city of Pittsfield in 1919. So many great things have gone on there. The Hillies, the Electrics, the Red Sox, the Astros, the Senators, the Mets, just more and more teams. Great memories coming out of that ballpark. Even back in 2000, we had the Hillies being reincarnated by some of our great baseball players from that time. It crowded people there. ESPN covered the event. What a great time that was. On the wall, you'll see more pictures of Wacona Park, including a picture of Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig played for the Hartford Senators that came to Wacona Park in 1921. Lou Gehrig was nice enough to hit a home run into the Housatonic River. Heaven knows where that ball is today after dropping into the river. But the story with Lou Gehrig is he didn't use his real name. He actually used a pseudonym because he had been signed to go to college at Columbia on a full football scholarship. He played for the Hartford Senators because he got turned down by the New York Giants. His coach from Columbia found out he was playing professional ball, which everybody knows is a no-no in college. He got taken off the team, The other coaches in the Ivy League got called, and they decided instead of giving him a lifetime suspension, gave him a 1-year suspension. He didn't play in 1922, but did play for the New York Yankees in 1923, after playing for Columbia earlier that year. He then also played for the Hartford Senators in 1923 to get more seasoning as he went back and forth between Hartford and New York. Next is our black baseball display. Frank Grant, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, not just Berkshire County. He was one of the best black players of the 19th century. Born in Pittsfield, raised in Williamstown, was a second baseman. He played for the Cuban Giants and the Cuban ex-Giants. He was instrumental in bringing those teams to North Adams to play. Can you imagine having one of the best teams in the 1800s playing in North Adams? Tremendous baseball history. Satchel Paige, playing for the House of David, played at Wacona Park. Billy Hart, one of the great athletes, tennis player, track star, basketball player, but great baseball player, signed a minor league contract. We also have Joe Bateman, who just recently retired. We also talk about some of our townspeople. The great Mildred Persip went to Wacona Park so often she was known as the mayor of Wacona Park. John Persip was an umpire for youth games, but such a good umpire that when the New York Black Yankees came to Albany to play, he was called to go over and umpire. The team started in the early 1900s. The Featherlights came from South County. Hotel Aspinwall had their own team. The Burbank Hotel in Pittsfield had their team. Then later in the 30s, we had the Pontiacs. It just seems that baseball was rolling. It didn't matter the color of your skin or your sex. Because guess what? We had women's baseball, women playing baseball as well. In 1905, in a book, it said that Miss Hall's school had 2 teams. We went and knocked on the door and came up with some great pictures of them playing baseball. We also found a newspaper article from the Washington Post that said in 1889, Pittsfield High School had a women's baseball team. Just unbelievable. We look and Joan Crockwell, back in 1950, tried out for one of the teams from the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. The history here is just unbelievable. It's so important for people to realize how much history is really here. Now, down this hallway, we call it the Hall of Towns and High Schools. On your left, you're going to see pictures from the 1800s all the way up to present day from all the towns. From first one is Sheffield, Monterey, and Ashley Falls, Great Barrington, Housatonic, and Sandusfield, Stockbridge, West Stockbridge. And on the right, we have the high school history and some of the history of the different people, from Jesse Carpenter with a picture of Theo Epstein's twin brother, Jed Hoyer. Jesse Carpenter has history in baseball. We didn't know about that. from Coach Alfonso to John Kinney. The history just keeps growing and growing as you go. So we have a display on Jim Boughton. Jim wasn't born here in Berkshire County, but settled here and has many of his history roots are here. Next, in West Stockbridge, we have Troy's Garage. Garrett Troy owned Troy's Garage and most of the town. In the 30s and 40s, he wanted the best semi-professional team he could find. He collected all the players from Berkshire County. He then invited professional teams to come play. The Cincinnati Reds, the Philadelphia A's with Connie Mack, and the Boston Bees that later became the Boston Braves. They went to West Stockbridge to play. If that wasn't enough, they played at night. He rented a truck with a generator, and they put lights on the top of step ladders. Some of the players were known to put an extra ball in their back pocket. Just in case the ball went over their head, they weren't too sure about chasing it down in a dark cornfield. We moved down to Lenox and more history. We come down to Lee, and here we have an interesting story. Joe Garrity. Joe will turn 100 this year. But back in the 40s, he was a great pitcher for the Sons of Italy. And Lee was known to have a great drop ball. Hardly anybody could hit it. Made such an impression that the Berkshire Eagle got hold of the New York Giants scout from Springfield and told him, you got to come down and see this guy. So the scout came, went to Lee, asked for Joe Garrity. They didn't know where he was, but he may be at the El Dorado Club. He was known to be there every so often. So he went to the El Dorado Club, walked up to the bartender, and asked for Joe Garrity. Well, the bartender thought he said Joe Garrity. Joe Garrity, he said. Oh, he's about 2 stools down there. Well, Joe Garrity had had a few too many, if you know what I mean. And when the scout went to talk to him, he was discouraged and left. The real Joe Garrity was never found. But Joe Garrity kept pitching, and here we see a display not only of his glove and, of course, pictures, but baseballs from the games that he collected. Put the dates, the scores, and many times had the players sign them. Next, we come to Pittsfield. Lots of history here, but just a little that we can show you. Little League. Of course, the high school championship teams. Taconic High School was won state champions, and our great post-68 winning championships. But we also have a display for Art Dittmar. Art, famous pitcher for Pittsfield High, but also later on went and played for the Yankees. Then we come to Dalton, again, Little League history, but we have the Dalton Collegians, a semi-pro team that played all over the East Coast and was known for the great, great players that later went on to play in the major leagues. Then we come to Adams and North Adams and, of course, Cheshire. We got to remember that it wasn't until 1878 that North Adams became a separate town. So Adams was all one town. We have some displays of the old uniforms and what they were made out of, that wool material. Can we imagine players today wearing wool uniforms? I don't think so. I don't think it would fly. And then we have North Adams and Drury High School. And of course, we wish we had a St. Joe North Adams uniform, but I heard a great story told to me that St. Joe North Adams, after their Saturday game, used to hang their uniforms in the locker. The sisters would come, and the nuns would come and wash them and iron them and then put them back. So they never got a chance to have them for too long. We have a display on the great coach from North Adams State, now MCLA, Joe Zavatero, who was also a minor league player and a great player for Pittsfield High School. And finally, we finish up with Williamstown. We have an old uniform we borrowed from the Historical Society in Williamstown, and also some pictures of a great coach from Lenox that had his starting in Williamstown. As we come into our last room, on our right, we have one of our major league players, the Terminator, Jeff Reardon. Jeff played for many, many professional teams, the Yankees, the Mets, the Twins, the Expos, the Reds, but was a great relief pitcher, one of the great relief pitchers of his time. On the wall to your left is Berkshire County's golden age of baseball. We call it the 30s, 40s, and 50s, although today we could be starting a new golden age with our great Little League teams, Cal Ripken teams we have, high school teams we have, Legion teams we have, and of course, our two summer collegiate teams. In the 30s, you got to remember, we're not talking just Pittsfield. We have Beckett playing. You have North Adams playing. You have everybody playing. The team leagues had 8 and 9 and 10 teams in a town. Many of the town teams were named after industries like Stanley's or neighborhoods. So it was just bursting with baseball. Now, we had amateur teams, the Nationwides, the Dalton Esso, Tyler Aces, Majestics, Brass Rail, all went to national championships. And in 1949, the Brass Rail. In 1952, the Majestics came back with the national championships. Crazy stuff happening here in Berkshire County. As we come down further, we find a little alcove that we have some old Babe Ruth uniforms, but we also have a listing of the professional baseball teams from the Berkshires. We are listed from 1894 to 2011. There have been 57 farm teams from Berkshire County or independent professional teams from Berkshire County. That's the third most in the Commonwealth. The third most. So that means that Boston had more and Springfield had more, but we had more than Worcester and Lowell. So think of the Berkshire County amazing baseball history. Now we come to the summer collegiate teams. North Adams Steeplecats playing out of the New England Collegiate Baseball League, and the Suns playing out of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. We have a whole wall here in back that is minor league baseball, not only a tribute to the teams, but a tribute to the players, because here in Berkshire County, we had 162 players that played minor league baseball, born or brought up here, including our newest one, Matt Koperniak, who just got signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. As we come further down, we have stock certificates from the Pittsfield Professional Baseball Corporation, dating all the way back to 1919 and coming up to the 40s. One of them was featured in the Eagle about 2 weeks ago. But then after that, we got another one from the Dalzell family that was just given to us from 1941. On your right, you'll see cases also for the minor league teams, including Carlton Fisk, who played here in Pittsfield with the Pittsfield Red Sox. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see more of those players. Russ Quetty getting some hitting tips from some guy better known as the Splendid Splinter, or Ted Williams. We have Matt Torra up on the wall, Larry Bossidy, Ryan Cameron, Skeet Shook from South County. On your right, a display on Richard Harris, minor league player, and the family has given us his contracts to show. Archie Allen, who later became a great coach at Springfield College. Names like Willie, Garibaldi, Cardarelli, Aracy. It's just crazy, crazy stuff because there's so many of them. Donnie Troy, Peter Greenbush, Brian House, Ryan Cameron, Chad Pirano. That's only 10. We got 152 more, but I can't go on that long, they tell me. So we have a wall here of other professional baseball personnel. Not professional players, but people that work in the clubhouses or in the head offices. The Duquette, Tom Mooney from Pittsfield, baseball player, not professional, but a professional scout. Signed Ken Griffey Jr. while working for the Seattle Mariners. Greg Colello worked for the New York Yankees. His crew that worked for the Yankees worked the scoreboard and have won many Emmys for their work. Umpires, Chris Conroy, Al Bianchi, and Ed Ladley. I've seen him as an umpire, but somebody told me he was a player. I went, no way. Umpire, yes. Official, yes. But not a player. I called him, and Ed said, yes, Larry, in 1958, the scout for the Dodgers came to my house and used to take me to Ebbets Field to work out with the Dodger rookie team. I became a member of the Dodger rookie team, he told me. And with the agreement that at the end of the summer, the best players are going to get a professional contract. Well, the night before that day, I cut my thumb in a kitchen accident. No contract. Went to Niagara University, he said. Full boat, baseball and basketball. Got chased by the Orioles and the Pirates. But he then went to the armed services. He said, but I tell you what, Larry, come to the house. I have something you might be interested in that I can loan you. So I thought, a glove, pair of shoes, a bat. But no, what did he have? But a 1957 Brooklyn Dodger home uniform. How'd he get it? What is he doing with it? What happened was, in 1957, the Brooklyn Dodgers went to Los Angeles. So the Dodgers had these uniforms that they couldn't use. No eBay to sell them on, so they gave them to the rookie players. And that was Ed Ladley's. But what else was funny, about 5 minutes later, my cell phone rings, and it's his wife. And she says, Larry, come back. I found something in the back of the closet. And what she found was a Dodger rookie jacket with Dodger rookies across the front of it. The Ladley family has since given that or donated that to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Now we come to our major league players. They're listed over here, all 38 of them. What do we have? We have Dale Long from Adams, Art Ditmar, as you know, but also Mike Doc Powers from Pittsfield, Dirty Dave Murphy, and also the Farley family, Shano Collins, Earl Turner, just so many great ones. Gene Hermansky, he was pictured in the movie 42 with Jackie Robinson. You see many pictures here with his pal, Jackie Robinson. We don't want to forget our friend over here, Jack Chesbrough. Jack Chesbrough, player from North Adams. In 1904, playing for the New York Highlanders, he started 51 games, completed 48, won 41, still a record today in the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. That's two from Berkshire County, Frank Grant and Jack Chesbrough. To our right, we have the great Mark Belanger, 8 gold gloves. Great, great baseball player. Many of the people from Berkshire County talk about buying their first baseball glove or pair of skates from Bessie Clark. And who was their salesman but Mark Belanger? And over here, we have Turk Wendell. Turk is from Dalton. A little eccentric, some people may say. Loves to jump over the foul lines. Also chews licorice, not tobacco. And then is known to brush his teeth after every game. The strangest thing I guess people see in his display case is a bottle of honey. And they say, what's the honey for? Well, he became the national spokesman for the National Honey Association for a year and did many ads. If you type in on YouTube, you can see it. Over on your left, we have some baseball cards from our major league players, and we have a picture of the great Tom Grieve from Pittsfield. Another picture of Jim Bouton, but over here we have Jonah Bayless and Matt White with uniforms from Jonah and his first baseball with his major league strikeout of Frank Thomas, Hall of Famer Frank Thomas, first strikeout. Wow. And then uniforms up here from when he played in Venezuela and played for Team USA. And then both he and Matt played in Japan, and there are their uniforms. Here's Matt White. Some great stories about Matt. Matt graduated from Waucona Regional High School. Okay pitcher, going to North Adams State, MCLA. But in the summer before, he gets an offer to play for the New England Lightning, a college team. Playing for that team, he's playing in a tournament, his first starting assignment, he pitches a no-hitter. Who's there but the assistant coach from Clemson University, and on the spot offers him a full boat to Clemson. He goes to Clemson, and the rest is history. He pitched for the Red Sox, was in the Los Angeles Dodger farm system. He's had many, many great memories from the game of baseball. Over here, we have our travelers. The great Bob Pettit from Williamstown, professional major league player, got invited by Albert Spalding to go barnstorming on a team around the world. 1889, they go around the world. Can you imagine that boat trip? Here's a picture of he and his team in Egypt. When we talk about traveling, we also have the 1978 Drury High School team that after their baseball season took a trip to Taiwan to play baseball, obviously. But they had a couple of stops, for fun, like Disneyland in Hawaii. Can you imagine that field trip? Then we have some of our great baseball players. Satchel Paige, the great Babe Ruth, who we talk about before in the exhibit, but he was in South County, hunter, golfer, Barrington Fair to bet on the horses. And then in 1938, he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers as they played against the Sons of Italy up there. There are pictures of him, the scorecard. And of course, if you come to the museum, you can have your picture taken with my friend, Babe Ruth. We wouldn't be here, or this exhibit wouldn't be here, if it wasn't for the people of Berkshire County, because they're the ones who have given us these artifacts, have given us the stories that I can try to relate to you. We also have a list of sponsors that are very, very important to us. because they're the ones who give us the funds to put up the displays. We have to thank everyone for joining us on television, but there's nothing better than being here and being able to see it in person. We got to remind you that masks are required and social distancing is required. But we want to thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed today's program.